I'm excited to see Nick back. It's been so long since I've seen a good Stockton slap. Like, it's such a dick move.
I'm Big Zuu, and the UFC have asked me to fire 8 questions at some of the UFC's biggest and most famous fans. Our guest today, he's a Scottish comedian. He has 2 Netflix specials and incredibly is responsible for the breakup of over 100,000 relationships. He has just written his first book and is about to start the US leg of his Hubris tour. You know the vibes. This is 8 questions with UFC fan Daniel Sloss.
Yeah, it's me. I can just tell there's so many UFC fans who are just like, yeah, sure, I guess I've heard of him. If that makes you feel better.
I just gave you all the hype. The hype is enough for them to understand that you're a big boss in this thing. Yeah. So my first question for you is, what is the first UFC fight you remember watching?
My friend Kai got me into it when, I can't remember what the headline of the card was, but the fight I remember vividly was Bigfoot Silva v Alistair Overeem. And
big fight.
Yeah. And because I'd never watched the UFC before, 2 huge guys.
Yep.
Where you're just like, all right, this is just, we're going to punch the shit out of each other. And Overeem was cocky all the way through. And I remember not liking that. And all my mates were like, oh, no, man. He said, great. Because this was a couple of months or maybe a year after he'd kicked the liver out of Brock Lesnar. So...
Yeah, it was his second fight in the UFC, but obviously he was already known at this point,
Aye. And then for 2 rounds, he's cocky, he's getting up in Silva's face like he's not respecting them. And then Bigfoot Silva just turned it on. And I remember it was just such a brutal knockout because, he was against the cage and he was knocked out. But Bigfoot Silva just kept punching him upwards, so he never hit the ground. It was just doing keepy uppies with his head.
He was keeping it up in the sky with punches and formations.
Harding's not stopping it because he's technically not touched the ground yet. And he's like, nah, he's still standing. It's not natural, but he's up. And then douche. It was like, the rock'em sock'em things where they just constantly punch the heads up. And I remember just going, oh man, this sport is great. That's me in at this point.
Who's your favorite UFC fighter of all time?
If we could ignore a lot of his antics outside of the ring. If we're looking at it on an objective, who do I enjoy watching as a fighter? It's got to be Jon Jones. I just always loved the fact that there's so much tactics in fighting and people are stronger at different things. But Jon Jones always, when he fights, just goes, what are you best at? And I'm going to beat you at that. I'm not going to beat you with my own game. If you're a striker, I'm going to knock you the out. If you're a wrestler, I'm going to wrestle you. If you're going to kick, I'm going to outdo it. I love watching that.
He's technically gifted and he thinks on his feet, and the amount of battles and wars that he's gone through is very commendable. I respect Mr. Jones. Oh, like you said, take away the antics. But I feel like all fighters have their antics. You know what I'm trying to say? You can't be a fighter without a little bit of antics. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, well, Stephen Thompson's never done anything wrong in his life. The man just drives an electric car and prays, has the same meal every evening, and is a charming person. He's a safe one. But yeah, the best of the best, you're like, if I just don't follow them on Instagram and Twitter and just objectively enjoy them as a fighter, as a warrior, then it's easy.
Question 3. What is your favorite UFC event that you've watched or attended?
I went to see, the first card I ever went to see live was Anderson Silva versus Weidman 2, the one where Silva, but everyone remembers that bit from that card, but the rest of that card was stacked, man. From top to bottom. Travis Brown was on it. I remember it was Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate, and that was the first time Rousey had ever been taken outside of the first round, and that, to be in the audience when you, she always finished people, and Tate took her beyond that, and we were like, oh, holy shit, this is great. There was so many good fights on that card, and then also, when Anderson threw that kick, none of us knew what happened, because we just saw him throw a kick and then him go down. and we're like, oh, like he's throwing the fight. Like he's like, this is the weirdest thing. Like, is this rigged or whatever? And like nobody in the arena can really understand what's going on. And then they showed the replay of it once. Like there was a collective inhale from the crowd, and then it was just. I mean, I'll never forget it. But the card was great. But
damn. What other fights have you gone to?
I have seen Anderson Silva fight 3 times, and every single time I've seen him, it's been when he's lost, right?
Oh, man.
Man, I've only ever watched him lose. Like, he's one of the greatest ever, and I've only ever seen him fail. I saw him at UFC when it was Weidman 2. I saw when he did Daniel Cormier last minute after the John Jones pulled out that card and McGregor pulled out that card.
Yeah.
And then also in London when Bisping beat him.
Damn.
Yeah.
You are his bad luck charm.
I am. I feel so bad because I loved him so much. I loved watching him. And I'm like,
whenever you turn up, he's just losing.
No, I can't do it anymore. Like I've got to love him from a distance, otherwise I'll ruin his legacy.
Well, speaking about legacy and leg breaks, your new book, Everyone You Hate Is Going to Die, it's about relationships. You have reportedly broken up over 100,000 couples.
Yes.
That's some serious Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman level power you got there.
Yeah.
What is your secret to finishing all these relationships?
Well, I always have to clarify. I've never ended a good relationship. It's never like two people were in love and then I came in and did some magic that caused them to see each other in a different light. I'm just there to get people out of those shitty, static, boring, toxic relationships that we sometimes consign ourselves to because we're so terrified of being alone.
Yeah.
And I never meant the show to do that. Like it was just it's a show called Jigsaw, which is on Netflix, and it was just me talking about like a toxic relationship I'd been in and like how I finally got out of it and the relief I felt getting out of it. And then turns out that resonated with a lot of people, and they just kept tweeting me and sending me messages on Instagram, and my Diaz being like, I broke up with my partner, I broke up with my husband. I've had people drive across country to get me to sign their divorce papers. Like just to autograph them. It's been mad, man.
So basically, you have impacted the nation for devastation.
Yeah, I'm saving lives, man. Getting people out of those boring ass relationships. It's like The Ring, but for shitty relationships.
I feel like sometimes people don't realize they feel something until someone else expresses it to them. You know? Yeah,
man.
Sometimes you have to watch someone else fail to make you not want to fail.
Yeah, and also, like, I think that's the thing about, comedy and music is anything where you're talking with concise sort of lyrics and script, you're trying to get a point across in a way that it's never been made before, but in a way that resonates with the audience that's watching it. That's the skill, is to make people, you say something that they didn't even know they thought, but when you do, it just sort of clicks into place and they go, oh my God, that's right. Like all the best comedy I love watching is the stuff that, makes you laugh. Primarily, that's the function. But the stuff that makes you think as well. It's the same thing, like if there's good music that's banging, if the lyrics are great as well, then it stays in there and resonates so much more.
I love that. You're very insightful, I feel like you come with a lot of wisdom.
No, it's all a ruse, man. Like
it's all just a front. Our next question for you is: what would your fighter nickname be? Let's bring it back to fighting. What would your fighter nickname be?
The Corpse. Man, I've never been in a fight in my life. I would get the shit kicked out of me at every weight division, every class. Like, it doesn't matter. There isn't a single fighter in the UFC who couldn't finish me in under 5 seconds. Like,
you don't think you have no chance, no martial arts,
man,
no
get
boxing?
me the smallest, lowest ranked woman, and I guarantee she'll have choked me out or have kicked my jaw off my head in under 10 seconds. I promise you, man. Like, even BJ Penn, even at his age, he could still kick my head in. Like, the refs could fucking batter me. I reckon most of the crowd could kick my head in. I'm pretty sure some of the ring girls, like I might be able to go the distance with one of them, maybe, if she's hungover. But no, I'd be useless.
That was a long list of people that you have no hope. No hope. Well, what we need to do is get you in the MMA gym. We need to get you flexing. We need to get you working. Get them gays.
No, man, the reason I got into comedy was so I never had to get into a fight in my life. That's the whole point. This is how I de-escalate.
I'm dead. Well, our next question is, if you could fight anyone in history, who would it be? But, I mean, I don't think you... But if you could, if you had the power of John Jones within you...
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to... Benson Henderson. He was for me, he was the most boring champ in the world. Like he never finished someone in a title defense. It was always wins the distance, and it was always, well, it wasn't always split decision. I'll give him that. Sometimes it was unanimous, but I just remember going, you've got the power to knock someone out, but you're just being too tactical. I got into this sport to watch people, chin. That's what I'm here for. I don't want to watch you grind out a result. Come on. So if I could go back in time and I was the size of John Jones, I'd slap him around a bit. But Benson Henderson, if you're watching this, please don't. I swear to God, I know you kick my head in.
We have the return of Nick Diaz against Robbie Lawler this weekend at UFC 266, as well as 2 title fights. So give us your thoughts on this matchup, man. What do you think is going to happen, bro?
Well, man, I'm thrilled to see Nick Diaz back. I've always felt the Diaz brothers are perfect heels. They're natural heels. When I first started watching them, I didn't like them just because I thought they were assholes. And then they just continuously, backed it up. And they're fun and they're unique in their own, fighting styles. And, I loved the Nick Diaz fights against McGregor. Yeah. And I'm excited to see Nick back. I just hope he's not changed. I doubt he has. But man, it's been so long since I've seen a good Stockton slap. It's such a.
I feel like them lot, they're so dedicated to staying fit. Their lifestyle, they do a lot of work behind the scenes. So, and I feel like it'll be interesting. But Lawler is a beast as well, so it's gonna be a good fight.
Yeah, man, and both of them can take punches, right? Both of them love punching and they love getting punched. Neither of them are going to shy away from just standing up and knocking each other senseless. I always remember the Robbie Lawler fight against Rory McDonald. That they just had to stop 30 seconds from the end of the 5th round because they're you are both bleeding to death, but particularly you, Rory. I'm excited to see just a brawl, a good old-fashioned brawl.
I think I already know your answer for this, but who is the GOAT for you in UFC and in your industry in the comedy world? So maybe let's start with the comedy world.
Comedy world, it just is Chappelle. It's Dave Chappelle. He's just so good, and every time he releases something, people clamour to watch it. He's so individually unique in his style and his ability to, impart wisdom through comedy, but still be very funny. He's not scared of anything. It's always funny. Every couple of months, someone will try to cancel Dave Chappelle, and it cannot be done. It's just he's the Teflon King.
Yeah, man.
And I love, I think, I've had the absolute privilege and honor of supporting him once in San Francisco, which was terrifying. No, man, I don't want to bomb in front of the GOAT. I don't bomb much, but I'm not saying I never bomb. And if I bomb in front of Dave Chappelle, I'd have to break my own neck. It would have to be the end.
But that's it, though, man. It's mad. You do a lot of work to get to a position, and then you can be so comfy. But one thing can tip the balance, and it's even though I've been doing this 100 times, right now it feels a bit different.
Yeah. This is the moment that you've got to try and be as present as you can in, because you're I've got to remember this. This is why we got into the game, and this is one of those moments this is what I'll be telling my kids or my grandkids about in several years' time.
Love that. So who is your GOAT in the UFC? Is it the John? Is it Mr. John to the Jones?
Yeah. It's got to be John Jones. I loved Anderson Silva. I still love Anderson Silva, but I jinxed him so many times. I'm glad they never, threw it down. But yeah, John Jones is undeniable for me at this point.
Absolutely love that. Well, thank you to the big UFC fan and ultimate comedian, my brother, Daniel Sloss. It's been amazing.
Thanks,
Daniel's first book, Everyone You Hate Is Going to Die, is released on October the 12th. Just 24 hours later, on October the 13th, he starts his US leg of his world tour in Boston. Listen, big things. Are you mad? Visit danielsloss.com for all the ticket info and catch him when he's in your city. Make sure he's been making me laugh this whole time. If I was in America, I'd be getting my ticket. Of course, this weekend we have UFC 266, 2 title fights, plus the return of Nick Diaz facing Robbie Lawler. A rematch 17 years in the making. Tune in, do not miss it. You understand? Thanks for watching. I'm Big Zuu, and I'll be back with another famous UFC fan very soon. Make sure you like and subscribe and check out all the previous episodes.